My gardening buddy Pip has joined me up here. Just checking out everything, giving everything a sniff. And there he goes, taking off. I'm sure he'll be back. Anyway, so we got one done. Now let's just plow through the rest of these. Should be a lot easier with one hand. You want to sniff that? Yeah, it's a sunflower. Pip likes to keep an eye on me. Make sure I'm not getting into trouble. So this guy just popped right out of the soil there. It's got a little bit of roots growing on it. Some people might be wondering, you know, what the heck are you doing growing this kind of stuff this time of year? You know, I live in Medicine Hat, Alberta, Canada. We get very cold winters that can last a long time. You know, and you never know what the weather's going to do here. We've had frosts and snow in August before. It is a rarity, but it can happen. So your garden is never really safe, and like most people everywhere, you know, you get a little frustrated at the weather reports because they're wrong a lot of the time, but I guess they do their best. But anyway, the reason I'm growing a few of these seedlings and vegetable plants already is so I don't go crazy over the winter. I have to limit myself to just a few plants, you know, kind of one of each variety, but I need to have something growing. If I'm not growing something, I start feeling a little crazy, you know. That's why I like having my little grow room up here. It's like my little taste of summer, and we've had a beautiful fall so far, but I know the snow and the cold is coming, and my little warm, bright oasis up here is definitely good little retreat for me. So I just got some honeydew melon seedlings here, and I just kept the seeds out of the melon I bought from the store. So I did have, you'll notice in a previous video, I had a big pot full of vines, but with my whitefly infestation, I decided to get rid of them. Plus that pot was just really big, really kind of just a pain, you know. I didn't like having it sitting on the floor there, and so I got rid of it. So I just have a couple of little seedlings I started again from seed. And the reason I do start some stuff really early is, you know, I know with our relatively short growing season, for me to produce a melon is going to take some going. I'm going to have to get this thing growing for quite a while to get a big plant growing, to, you know, get that outside, you know, give it a good head start basically. If I try to start growing these, you know, outside in the soil, when it finally warms up to a temperature that melons will germinate well in and they'll grow well in, I'm never going to get a melon off of it. Because by the time I get it going, it's not going to have enough time to grow outside to get anything going. That's why I brought that pot of melon vines inside, because I didn't want to see them go. I've been growing them all summer, and they were still, you know, just barely starting to put flowers out. So I figured, oh, I'll bring it inside, and you know, maybe I can keep it going, and maybe I'll eventually get a melon off of it. But I think I brought some whiteflies in with me. That's always the risk when you bring plants in from the outside. You bring in the little creepy crawlies that are on the leaves or in the soil, and they can just run rampant in your place because they don't have any natural predators like they do outside. But I don't know. I don't worry about it too much. Same with the whole reusing soil. Some people might think that's a really bad idea, but for me, I don't worry. I'd rather reuse it, and I haven't had too many pest problems. A little bit of problem with fungus gnats. I think anyone who tries to grow anything inside, even just a few houseplants, they'll have problems with fungus gnats. And then white flies too. I mean, they can get into your place, and they just love, you know, a nice, warm, humid environment, which I have up here in the upstairs grow room, with my fish tank going, 5-gallon pail of water and nutrients sitting out. It gets pretty, and then just the plants themselves, the moist soil, it gets humid up here. So it's warm and it's humid, so it's a nice environment for a lot of plants. But I have to say, knock on wood, I've never had to deal with the terror of spider mites, because they can come in and wipe out your plants like that, and they're very hard to get rid of. Once they're on your plants, you're kind of screwed. So I haven't had to deal with those before, so that's kind of a good thing. So these tiny little tomato seedlings, I'm going to transplant some of them into little cups. But these other ones, what I'm going to do is just pick a couple strong seedlings and just snip off the other ones. I'm not going to try and pull them out, because that will disturb the roots of their neighbors. But these ones, the tiny tom, produces a plant which is just a little tabletop plant. I don't have many seeds, so I kind of want to make the most of my seeds, so I want to keep my seedlings going. So you'll see they do kind of all join up together like this, so you have to be very careful to remove single seedlings for transplanting. Great thing though is tomatoes are very resilient to transplant shock. They transplant really well, and it's actually good for them. You know, you want to get the most out of your tomatoes, you want to transplant them often. As soon as you start thinking they're getting a little bit root bound, get them in a bigger container. If you have the room, you won't regret it. Tomatoes can produce really large root systems, really vigorous root growth you can get. So you want to transplant your tomatoes often so that they don't get root bound, and you'll get a big healthy root system that's going to make a nice big plant and hopefully give you lots of tomatoes. So I'm just kind of very carefully working with these little seedlings. You have to be gentle. That's why it's good to have very loose soil, because you can just gently crumble it in. And you know, you don't need to pack the soil in around your plants, nor should you. Just really gentle pressure. I really like watching Ray on the Praxis 55712 channel, and also his Voodoo Garden channel. And a lot of what I've learned has come from his methods. He's very good guy to watch. If you haven't seen his channel, I definitely recommend it. I've learned a lot from him, and I like his personality and his sense of humor. Some people might not, but I find he's a funny guy, and he's got a cute little dog named Rascal. So check his channel out. I've learned a lot from him. He definitely kind of goes the way of simple is generally better. He doesn't like to make things complicated, and I relate to that. I like that style of gardening. I think some people get too caught up in, you know, making stuff more complicated than it has to be. And you know, the thing with gardening is there's so many ways to do stuff, so many different growing methods. so many different, you know, ways to approach gardening, different methods, different techniques, and like a lot of things in life, people get wrapped up in, you know, what is the best way, and they get very, very opinionated and very passionate about what they believe is the best way to do something. And if someone disagrees, some people can handle it, but other people, you know, it really riles them up. They're like, no, this is the best way of doing it. Don't argue with me, kind of thing. Which is unfortunate, because I think really we need to breed more, that sounds weird. We need to foster more, that's a better word, more tolerance of other people's ideas and how other people might want to do something in all aspects of life. You know, it's like if they're not hurting you, don't get mad about it. You know, everyone has a right to do things in their own way, and if it's working for them, then leave them alone. You know, you don't have to jam your ideas down somebody else's throat. But yeah, I'm getting a little off topic here, but just kind of sidetracked with my, as I'm planting these little seedlings, gotta have something to talk to you guys about. But yeah, if I'm rambling along and if you think, oh, just shut up already, well, I guess you're more than welcome to click close and to stop watching me or listening to me. But yeah, if you haven't checked out his channel, Ray at Praxis55712 or the Voodoo Garden. The Praxis channel is outdoors. He talks about growing outdoors, raising chickens, which is something I'm trying to convince my parents. We're not allowed to keep chickens inside the city of Medicine Hat, but they live outside the city in Cypress County, and you can keep chickens there. So I'm trying to convince them that we should get a few chickens, make a little chicken coop, because I like the idea of giving it a whirl. But I've heard it's a lot of work, and you have to be very attentive to have healthy, happy chickens. And I would want them to be healthy and happy, you know, and I'd want them for their eggs, and then also for their great source of fertilizer for your garden. Chicken manure makes amazing compost from what I've seen. So I've got a few little seedlings left, and you know, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of this tiny tom. These little ones, they're just gonna go. I'm not gonna bother with them. So it's a little bit cruel, but sometimes that's what you gotta do. I think 5 is enough. And these other guys, they're not gonna get wasted entirely. They can go in my compost pile. So with these last few little cups of tomatoes, I'm not going to play around and do what I did with these guys, you know, separating them all out. I'm just going to take a pair of scissors, and I do hate doing this, thinning things out, which basically is what I'm doing here. You know, it's just, it feels bad. You've got these beautiful little seedlings that have come up, and I find every time a seedling comes up from a seed, it just puts a smile on my face. And that's, you know, many things in gardening I really enjoy. But that little miracle of, you plant that little thing, you throw it in some soil, you give it some water, you wait a little bit, and then boom, a little green plant comes up. You know, to me, it's a little miracle. It's very cool, and it always makes me smile. So that's why, one of the reasons I keep gardening, and that's why it's hard to thin stuff out, because you feel like you're cutting away your little children. I don't know, that might be a little bit too intense. Some people might think I'm a bit crazy, but that's kind of what I feel like sometimes when I'm thinning stuff out. So the reason I'm just clipping these off is it's going to disturb the roots a lot less of the ones that remain. So these are my grape cherries. Now I just have 2 growing in there. they're still a little bit close together, but I'll let them grow up a little bit bigger. Maybe wait till they start putting out some true leaves, and then I'll transplant them again. And when I transplant them next time, I'm going to bury these stems as much as I can until just a little bit of stem and leaf is out the top. And that is the praxis method of tomatoes. Bury things deep, prune them to encourage suckers to grow. So instead of doing single stem tomatoes, you have bushy plants, and then you run those suckers out from the center, and you bury those stems as well. And you basically have one plant with multiple growing tips or suckers coming up out of the soil, and it looks like a bunch of plants, but it's just one. So yeah, Ray at Praxis, and also Mobile Home Park Gardener, MHP Gardener. He's a great guy, does tons of greenhouse stuff and outside gardening. Really good channel. And then if you're interested in hydroponics, there's Brock Hughes out in BC. He has a nice greenhouse set up with hydroponics, and I've learned a lot from him too. Along with MHP Gardener, he does hydroponics, soil gardening, the Cracky method, just really amazing channel. But, so those are guys I love to watch, and if you haven't checked them out, definitely check those channels out. But yeah, those are my little transplants. That's pretty much it. Do I have a watering can up here? No, I don't. Okay, I'm going to get a watering can. I'll put these up where I want them to go, and I'll give them a quick water, and then we're done. Alright, so I got all my seedlings on this this tray. It's just time to water them all in. Really important to water your plants in after you transplant them. I got nice loose soil that has a good balance of water holding capability whilst also draining well. And that's what you want. So I have holes in the bottom of all these containers so they can drain. I have grown in cups before without holes, and that does work fine. You just have to be very careful not to overwater. You just water just until the whole thing is nice and moist. So it's less forgiving. If you got holes in the bottom of the container, you add too much water, it's going to drain out the bottom. No holes, you ended up with soil soup. And it's a lot harder to take that extra water out. So I don't know, that's probably pretty good. I'm just moist. So I've got this set of bright lights CFL bulbs right above this tray. So hopefully all these little guys will do good. And I've just fed my fish. So they're all kind of, I don't know why they're hanging out all over there, but they're kind of eating and going crazy. But yeah, that's how I do transplants, and that's a little update from Tom. Take care, everyone.